We began on a positive note. Eventually, the markets did move down, and we've seen a little bit of recovery coming along in the last half an hour or so. So, as you've already mentioned, at least as far as the Nifty is concerned, currently is trading at around 10,250 with just a few minutes left for closing. So, we are likely to see the Nifty maintain the 10,200 mark. When it comes to the Sensex, again, 0.4% increase there, and the Nifty Bank, which would underperform the benchmarks yesterday, is now outperforming them. Let's also take a look at what the broader markets have been doing. And when it comes to the mid-cap and the small-cap indices, well, the small-cap index specifically has clearly outperformed its peers. And of course, the mid-cap index also advancing by 1%. And that's very evident in the advance decline ratio, which has been very positive towards the advances. That said, let's also take a look at some of the key gainers and losers, at least on the benchmark indices. And I'm going to start off with something like an ICICI Bank. Yesterday's losers, today's gainer. It's followed by M&M and Yes Bank. Tata Motors, DVR start catching up, and that stock's up around 2%. We have gains coming in Power Grid, and SBI also looking at short covering right now. It's followed by ICICI Bank. On the losing end, we are looking at some amount of weakness in Wipro. That's down 2%. That's followed by ONGC. That's also down 1.3%. But for the likes of Adani Ports, HDFC Bank, and TPC and L&T, cuts are a lot less than, well, 1%. So, not too much to speak for as far as losers are concerned. At least as far as momentum goes, that's with the gainers in today's day of trade, Navneet.
Good day of trade, second straight day when the broader markets have been outperforming. Let me just take you through some of the gainers. And in terms of investment themes, clearly the tire stocks were buzzing today. We did see stocks like Balkrishna Industries, which is also in the futures and options segment. That's closing just around the day's high mark with gains of 7%. Also had something like Apollo Tires, which touched its fresh 52-week high in today's session. And CEAT too saw a good amount of traction when it comes to the tire pack. But the other one, the construction companies have been buzzing. So NBCC, right from the word go in the morning, that had a gap up opening, and it managed to sustain those gains. So that's closing with gains of 5.5%. IRB Infra saw a good amount of momentum, some bit of longs also seen on the future side. IRB Infra up almost 5%, and NCC also became active in the last hour of trade. A couple of other stocks, NHPC in the second half of the session, that too saw some bit of buying momentum. So let's see if that can continue in tomorrow's session. And media stocks were quite active, and one of the constituents of the Nifty Media Index, Sun TV, did pretty well in today's session. Infibeam, that stock was buzzing because after the news came in that one of the fund bought nearly 3.5% stake in the company. That's the small cap world fund, on back of which there was a positive opening for this one. On the flip side, Talwarkers, which we just highlighted, and we'll take a view from Avinash as well, why the stock has been locked in lower circuit for the last four trading sessions. And Kajaria Ceramics, that's the one which was a tad bit weak. But Agam, I'll say the losses were really, we didn't see any sharp losses coming for any of these stocks in the broader market.
That's right, Navneet. So, once again, let's take stock of how the intraday charts are panning out right now. And as you can see, we're ending the day at near the highs, the intraday highs, just short of around 10,250, in fact, at around 43. And we've seen the Nifty advance by 0.3%. Let's also pull up the Nifty contributors and see which ones have been the reason behind which we've seen the gains in Nifty. And there you have it. ICICI Bank looking at short covering. That's followed by Reliance Industries, also providing about 7 points. M&M and Indiabulls Housing, among others. On the losing end, however, stocks which are putting pressure on the index is HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited, the HDFC twins, and Tech Mahindra and ONGC bearing down on an otherwise buoyant Nifty index.
Well, yesterday when we saw the gains, the participation was not on the higher side. So let's pull up the turnover and see how the participation panned out in today's session. So yesterday, NSE cash turnover was about 27, so just about 28,000. It's the start of the series, so usually you'll see the NSE F&O turnover being on the lower side. Usually average turnover is somewhere about 5 lakh crores. So 4.3 for the F&O turnover as well. Just want to pull up the advanced decline because the market breadth was the key theme in yesterday's session. I've been highlighting this. It's very, very difficult to sustain advanced decline of 5:1, which we did yesterday. Today, when we opened, it was actually in favor of the declines, but later on, as you can see, towards the second half of the session, there was a yawning gap, and there was more of buying which was seen in the broader markets. Hence, the advanced decline ratio looked pretty interesting. I think today it was almost 4:1. Well, on that note, let's get some closing thoughts going from our experts. Amar, we've had 2 straight days. It's turned out to be a good week actually for the markets. Let's say if we have a flat opening going into tomorrow's session, would you create fresh longs on Nifty?
See, on the higher side, Nifty is going to meet with resistance somewhere in the region of 10,280 and 300 levels, because what is happening on the medium-term charts is that clearly reflects that any upside is going to meet with selling pressure, and also there will be profit booking. But yes, the short-term support has been, or the short-term bottom has been formed. So you can't simply buy at the current levels. It has to be on a pullback, because the resistance, as I said, is around 10,280, 300 levels. So the current level would not warrant a proper risk-reward ratio. So ideally, any pullback towards 10,220 levels or so, that can be a buying opportunity, because the target is not in the higher than 10,280, 300 in the short term.
Okay, well, that's Amar's view. Sachidanand, how about you? What are your closing thoughts with the levels at which the index is closed?
Well, it's a very good closing. In fact, something that we were anticipating, and the challenge is not this particular close. In fact, the challenge will eventually come when Nifty starts trading close to 10,300. This would be a critical point. In fact, if it manages to close above say 10,300 in next couple of trading sessions, and if we see that the RSI, which is a leading indicator, closing above say 50, above its 50 mark, that could be a very early sign that the markets have hit the bottom, and the leg that we are into right now could extend right up to say 10,450, 470 levels. So I think it will be an interesting trading session, maybe tomorrow or next couple of trading sessions. But 10,300 would be a critical level from here on. And if you look at some of the technical indicators, then RSI above 50 would be a very healthy sign.
All right, Amar as well as Sachidanand, I appreciate you both joining us today and taking us through the technical views on the markets, the benchmark indices, and also on individual stocks. And Agam, the European markets, they've seen deeper cuts. So clearly, I think we didn't succumb to that pressure that we saw because the US handover was weak. Asian markets largely were weak in trade. And if you could just pull up DAX, CAC, and the FTSE, you can see how the losses are panning out right now. In fact, the German index, DAX, is down over 1%, and FTSE 100 is down nearly 0.6%. But let's get some closing thoughts going from Avinash. Avinash, I was talking about Talwalkar's, which has been locked in lower circuit. I don't know what's the reason, if you track this counter, what's happening here.
No, in fact, Navneet, I think the gym business definitely makes a decent amount of money for them, but the lifestyle business is something which they lose money, and I think the stock has gone X-split, of the gym and the lifestyle business. So probably that is one reason why the stock is seeing this kind of aberration. Right. But if you see the gym business, it's going to be a much more profitable business in terms of their return on capital employed, return on equity, which was a dampener, for the past few years. The lifestyle business is obviously going to trade at a discount, and probably that stock is yet to get listed, but probably that is the reason why some price adjustment is happening ahead of that adjustment, when probably shares of the lifestyle company could be listed separately.
So that will be listed separately,
Yeah, that would be listed separately.
Probably that could be one of the reasons.
That could be one of the reasons, because if you look at the split of the gym and the lifestyle business, the lifestyle business is a very small revenue business with very high EBITDA margins, but not very remunerative net margins. But the gym business generates a very healthy EBITDA as well as a good net margin.
Right.
Well, Agam continues to go to the gym every day, I guess, no?
No, I don't. No? Unfortunately, no. But I do know this, that Talwalkar is one of the oldest gym franchises in India. Well, we'll have to wait and watch whether or not there is a fundamental flaw in the runnings of the gym. But for now, this is what we have, currently locked in a lower circuit. But with that, we'd like to thank you as well, Avinash, for joining us and taking us through your views.